Well, hello, church, both Beach Church and the Church of 1122. Can you believe it? We are back doing Upon This Rock videos again. And we're excited to be here and just kind of excited to give you an update and let you know about what's going on. As of June, we are halfway through the time period of the Upon This Rock capital campaign, which, as you know, because you're a part of it, God used you to steward the gifts and the resources to really launch and relaunch the Church of 1122 and Beach. And good news is that we're halfway through the campaign and we've received more than half of what is pledged. So as far as that goes, things are going really, really well. Also, individually, what God has been doing at each of the churches has been awesome. You may be able to hear some construction noise in this video. That's because we are in my office at the Church of 1122. And on the other side of the wall, we are in an expansion phase already. We've outgrown really our capacity at our services. We started another service. We've outgrown our children's ministry space. And so we've got a second campaign going on here called Restore, where we are expanding that. So please excuse the noise there. But none of that would be possible if it wasn't for your generosity in the UTR campaign. I think Pastor Jerry wants to tell you more about some of the exciting things going on at Beach also.
Yeah, so it's been exciting to see the fact that these two churches, our original vision was to multiply the mission in the life of God's kingdom. And so we've seen incredible strides being taken just in the phenomenal growth that's taken place at 1122. We've seen very significant growth in the worship attendance at Beach, to where now the combined totals at one time on one of our best Sundays is like, what, 2,200, and now over 5,500 between the two churches, which has been incredible. And at Beach, we're in this just exciting time of looking at servant church, which is really just taking discipleship to a new level within the life of our church and what it means to impact our community for Christ and the way in which we serve. We've also seen incredible numbers with over 100 life groups at Beach, which is significant given the fact that our worshiping congregation is just a little over 1,000. So significant opportunities for people to grow in their discipleship and the way they're impacting the world. So it's been very exciting. I loved getting on Facebook and seeing how 1122 just shut down Hannah Park for Baptism Sunday, which was awesome to see. So it's very exciting to see what God's doing between these two churches and the vision that God laid for two healthy, God-honoring churches fueled by love. It's been great.
So one of the cool things is, like Pastor Jerry said, a few years ago when we all worshipped under the same roof, there's about 2,200 people on a weekend. Now there's about 5,500 people on a weekend. And then another significant number between the two churches, there's been 880 salvations since we launched and relaunched. And so, I mean, that's just amazing. 880 first-time salvations, people cross over from death to life. And here's the thing about those numbers. Every number is a person, and every person has a story, and every story matters to God. And so that's why 5,500 is important, and that's why 880 are important, because every number is a person, every person has a story, every story matters to God. And one of the things that you made possible because of your generosity is the day that we open on September 23rd right here at the Church of 1122. A girl that was far from God. I mean, really far from God. She moved here to be a bartender. She got drunk one night, busted her head open, and coming out of the hospital on the 23rd said, I got to do something different, so I'll go to church. Shows up here at our church and met Jesus. God saved her on our opening day. She raised her hand and surrendered her life to Christ. Well, later, a couple months later, she comes up and says, I want to get baptized, but could you baptize me in my hometown? So, maybe. Where do you live? Well, she lives in California. And I'm like, well, actually, I've got a pastor's conference in California in June. She says, that's when I'm going to be home. I'm like, well, but California's kind of a big place. So where do you live? I live in Newport Beach, California. That is exactly where the pastor's conference was. Wow. It was 3 miles from the hotel where the pastor's conference was to where her home was. And she wanted to get baptized in Newport Beach because basically she said, I would like for my sins to be washed away, or at least, you know, that public celebration of the washing away of my sins, where most of them were committed, which is on this beach where she's from. So we gathered out there with her friends and her family, and this pastor from Australia that wanted to see it because he was at this pastor's conference with me. And we go out and we baptize this girl named Leah Grace. And she got saved on opening day, and then we celebrated her baptism. And then another one of the 880. This past weekend, this guy comes down at the end of the service and he says, I'm ready to surrender my life to the Lordship of Jesus Christ. He's about a 45-year-old guy, super successful, and he's a guy that one of our staff members had been reaching out to, and our entire staff had been praying for this guy named Washington. And if you would have asked the staff member that first invited Washington to church a year ago, who's the most unlikely person to be saved in the world, she would say Washington is beyond the reach of God. I mean, we know all things are possible with him, and this will be the miraculous. And this Sunday, he started attending for a while. He told us he didn't believe anything that we believe, but he's going to just keep coming back. He got on our serve staff in IT, because, you know, you got to be a Christian to, like, lead a disciple group, but a pagan can push buttons in the IT world, right? And so he got in IT, started serving there, was just overwhelmed with God's love and grace, and then this weekend he surrendered his life to the Lordship of Christ. So that's 5,500 people that are attending right now, 880 salvations. That represents real people with real stories, and every one of those stories matter to God. And none of it would be possible if it wasn't for your stewardship and your generosity. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Keep it coming on the pledges. God is doing it, to using what you've been giving to just do this miraculous work at Beach through you and your leadership, and then also here at the Church of 1122. Thank you so much.
Thank you.